right, let's do it. Everybody, welcome to SlapSon. We got the man in the building. He's called the machine, but he doesn't take batteries. He's the man that started this whole thing. He's the first champ in his division. You got a water. I can't talk. I'm so excited. If you got a bottle of water, try and pour it on him. He's not going to rust. It's just waterproof. He's T2, T2. I'm so jacked on caffeine excitement. I can't even do my intro. Everybody, give it up
Ooh,
for
let's
the
go, baby. That's an
machine.
intro, to say the least. Love it. Hey, man, the energy's real. The energy's real. Fight day's almost here. You know, I was loving every second of that. I'm ready to go. I'm tired of fucking waiting. Oh, sorry.
Let's do this shit, man. So now we get to, look, I know you get asked this a lot, but I ask everybody that comes on. I am fascinated, actually. How did you find the slap game?
And by all means, I should have been the last person to be successful at this, in the aspect of I found an ad on Facebook, dude. That's how I stumbled across this. And this isn't the ad that powerslap put out that everyone can go click and apply to do. This was an ad in fight forums in amateur MMA around Ohio. Because that was how I stumbled into this. I'm looking to get into MMA. A few years ago, I was training, definitely more than I am now at it, but training Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu. Was gonna because I wrestled in high school, so it was a pretty simple grasp. I've always liked to compete, and I wanted to give myself a chance in life, and obviously show my kids that even if I had only gotten a few amateur fights, this was my thinking at the time, a few amateur fights. And to show them that I went out and did it, so be it. Well, one day in this forum that I'm always checking in, or actually there was multiple of them, the same ad, bop, 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 popped up, slapping for money. And I'm like, this is a load of shit, dude. Like, there's no way people are paying to do this. This is nuts. And I think I commented on it, and they were like, I was like, is this real? Or this isn't real, or something along those lines. I can't remember what. But then it's like I'm having a conversation with the person who's putting the thing up. They're like, DM me. So the next thing you know, from that DM, sitting in this garage where I'm at now, stack of paperwork later, after finding out, they were like, hey, this really isn't my name. I'm not supposed to tell you this, but this is going to be, powerslap. It's going to be under Dana White in the UFC, and it's going to be the next big thing. Like, the guy was like, you're super, legit. I just want to be upfront and honest with you before we go any further. And I was like, let's go.
Dude, they were masking who they really were?
This was leading up to the exhibition, which if you know anything about powerslap, that's where Dana had everybody come out there for these first go-throughs to even, basically, we were the pilot for the TV show, and that's how they were. Yeah, they were scoping out talent for, in a multitude of ways, from people who, there was bare knuckle fighters there. The list goes on and on of genres of things that these people were doing, and then somehow wound up there. And mine is literally just dumb luck that I stumbled across this, that I even posted. I could have never commented on it and turned around and never gotten into this. So, once I got into it, it was weird, because talking about it, like explaining that to people, especially, I was saying, I'm training jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai, so I'm going to my gym, and I'm like, these people are going to think that I'm stupid. They're going to tell me to get the fuck out of here and not to come back. So I was like, hey, I asked, it was my way of testing the waters, but also I wanted to ask permission. I'm like, hey, when they're asking me, like, where do I train? Am I cool to tell them that I'm training here at the gym? Because I'm training with you guys, I'm learning stuff, and then working out also. So like, I'm training here. They're like, yeah, that's fine. My coach was like, you got to have balls the size of Volkswagens to do that, man. More power to you. And then, a few months later, because I had just kept to my regular thing after that conversation, the next thing you know, it was like, they're like, you're on the poster for powerslap 1. And I'm like, yeah, dude, it's going down. They're like, you didn't tell us. I was like, I wasn't supposed to. I think a lot of this is really going to soak in more as time goes on, as it gets even bigger and bigger than it already is, and even more so after this event. So I'm really hoping to be able to get to enjoy some of that stuff a little bit more for what it is, because I'm so consumed and I would say obsessed in the moment with, remaining where I'm at, because it was as much of a simple task as people may think what we're doing is. There is so much more to this than meets the eye, to say the least, especially in my world.
No, 1,000,000%. I mean, this is my little analogy. It's like, okay, think what you want about it, right? But I hate Coca-Cola. I just don't drink it. Like, I don't like Coke. They don't give a shit. They're doing fine. And Power Slap, you don't like it? That's fine. It's not your taste. But they're doing fine. Like, it's going well. It's on the right trajectory. And, dude, we're only on 9. Like,
huge
9. And it's big. When UFC was on 9 or Bellator was on 9, I mean, come on, man.
They were giving away tickets to those fights. We're like, don't get me wrong. Are tickets given away for our events? Yes, but it's a different scenario because of the day and age. It's like, did Tom Brady show up to UFC 10? No, because Tom Brady was still trying to figure out what he was going to be doing. Everyone was still in the building process. We took the building process that they used for 30 years of UFC and just to the moon, dude, instantly.
Dude, it's fantastic. I love it. Like, when we got into it because of PSA. So my first MMA match that I saw was Liddell Couture 3. So I've been an MMA nerd for a long time. And I actually had to take a break. It sounds stupid, but literally, I had to take a break for a minute because I was like memorizing where guys went, their camps and their trainers and blah. Like, I could have been on ESPN and done fine. But seeing that and seeing how those guys, dude, they had to pay for their plane tickets. They had to, always have a full-time job unless they were like the champ. And even then, they probably still had a part-time job back in the day. And with Slap, we heard that Paige Van Zandt was going to make her debut. And so I look at my boys and I'm like, hey, do you want to go check this out? Do you want to go? And dude, we went, and that was the end of it. My kid wanted to start a podcast. Here we are. But you're right. What they have learned, you walk into that ballroom and it's not small. The production's crazy. The lights and everything going on.
And that's one of the big differences, I think, for our events compared to other events. When you're watching, I don't care what it is. There's other than golf. Now that I think about it, golf is the only thing that I can think of, and ain't nobody holding a quiet sign up. They're holding their beer in the air going, when it's quiet, you got Cowboy going, fuck them up. You got Cowboy Cerrone talking shit, yelling in the background, dude. Right? And who's going to say anything to him? Not even us. None of us are going to say anything to him. We're like, all right, Cowboy, we're going to slap the shit out of him. Thanks for letting us know that's what we need to do, bud. But it's just, it's that moment of silence, the sound of doom being rung out upon someone's face, and then the crowd fucking losing their shit afterwards. And then usually whoever's on the winning side, whatever extravagant thing they end up doing up on stage.
It's so true. And I gotta ask, dude, the first time you are just with your chin up like this, what's going through your brain?
Well, my very first fight, if you go back and watch season 1 that was on TBS, unlike the other 2 seasons, my qualifier fight, they talk about it. And this guy, dude, he was 245, probably 6'2", boxer and an MMA fighter. I was 220, stuffing myself full of cheese pizza to be a heavyweight because that's what they needed. And I was like, all right, I'm down. I don't give a shit what anybody weighs if we're doing this. And when he hit me, dude, and like, it's no offense to him because he was a great dude, but I don't think his technique was there, to say the least. So when he hit me, it was just like, and I was like, huh. Even like they're all looking up at me. Doctor's looking at me. The whole room is looking at me because that's when there's no one watching. So it's literally Dana White, Frank, Hunter, 2 other people at a table, the doctor in the corner, and 3 other, and that just about it. So he hits me, and we all kind of are looking around like, huh, okay. You know, I hit him, and you know, I didn't knock him out by any means, but I definitely dazed him because the rest of the fight, he was just kind of like he was in shock of all of it together, on top of me smacking the shit out of him. So you know, I didn't really feel the pressure until my second fight against Dorian Perez, disturbing the peace, aka another, you know, heavyweight contender who didn't knock me out. We went 3 rounds. That was the first time where I was like, holy shit, we're up here doing the damn thing, dude. Because he, you know, I was taking steps back. Me and him both were just up there having a good time. I know they can't release the full fight, but I wish they would release that full fight, because that was so much fun. And we want to talk about two dudes, like we had just fought the day before. Like, granted, I took no damage. He had a little bit, I think, from his
That's
fight,
nuts.
but you know, next day, you know, I'm at night, extra large cheese pizza to be able to be heavy enough again. So I'm just, you know, I was annihilating food, not healthy at all, just trying to be heavy enough to make it to go up against a 265-pound dude who was just dropping bombs on me. You know, more power to him, because that shit was great. We had an awesome time. I just want them to release the video, because we had a shoot off at the very beginning, dude. It was old Western. It was fucking epic.
Yeah. How would you compare that with your rematch in that 5 rounder, that epic one?
Oh, okay. Um, no, and honestly, not all of my title fights, even when I won it, I have not been hit the same as I was against this guy. So it was, they can't is the problem,
They
because
gotta release that dude.
no, they do. The
Oh,
problem is this fight made the rule set for illegal strikes. So I was getting hit like this.
okay.
Yes. And
No, you weren't.
3 of them, man.
So a full-on hook, basically.
And it was you know, it was epic. And it wasn't nothing that, you know, he didn't do anything wrong, because again, this is the rule. No one, we have no rule set. We're building a rule set. So for any middleweight out there who's like, oh, this guy ain't never done nothing for the sport, you're welcome, because I helped build what the rule set is. My face. This face right here that y'all love to talk shit about and ride these coattails on my shirt, that right there was for you guys. So you're all welcome. There was some people who had an idea about how other places had done, you know, a rule set, and then there was the idea that they had, but I mean, it was, how do you judge something no one's ever done for everyone in that facility? You know what I'm saying? You have referees that have never done anything like this. You know, the brass of power slap that are loud, like they're like, we got to figure it out, and this is how you do it. So, you know, it is what it is, and it was more fun than I probably should have been having.
And the fact that you have that, it's not even bragging rights. That's like a fucking medal. That, hey, I did this. You're welcome. And the progression. So, do you think it'll progress even more as well? Because what I was going to ask is the progression of like clubbing, for example. Like, you can't come at somebody like this anymore, right? But do you think it's still evolving where they're trying to drill it down to more of just a pure slap, or there's still going to be a little bit of?
I think there's plenty of ways to get in more
force.
It's, again, it comes down to technique and people actually working on it. That's what I was talking about at the beginning. You actually have to try, and like this narrative of anyone can do this. Yeah, anyone could walk in an MMA cage and fight. Anyone could walk in a boxing ring, videotape it, and call it a fight. Anyone can go to the courts and shoot hoops and say they were balling that day. You know, but what the reality of the situation is, what we're doing is at a whole different level, because everyone in the top of this is training at it. They're training. I mean, if they're not training 3 days a week, then they're probably going to be falling behind a little bit. So that's one of those things, and it's because of how inactive we are, because of the lack of events, because it's, again, we're only on number 9, but also you can't go spar this. All right, you shouldn't go spar this. This isn't something that, hey, we're going to go do 5 rounds tonight. No, I'm not doing that. I don't think anyone should be doing that. I think you should be saving the main times that you are getting hit for when you're competing. Because I'm not dumb. And I know that this is a very, very dangerous game we are playing, and you're only going to get so many chances. So, really, really limiting when you're taking the strikes like we do, I would say should be priority. So people getting to spar that at home isn't as likely as you're going to be able to when you're, boxing or MMA, where sparring, you can kind of, it's the same as how if you're tech rolling, you're moving, or you're flow rolling. You can just kind of flow, you can touch, tap, and be all right. For us, it's like you're just gonna keep doing this real lightly. No, because that's not what we're going for. We're going for as much power as possible to knock you the fuck out. So finding ways to train that at home and doing that repetitively, so that way when you get up there, you're not having the ring rust that people are talking about, in the striking issues. Because, oh, well, you don't have to train at this. Yeah, you do, and you should have been. And if you haven't been, then you fucking suck.
Yeah, man. I think I'm really excited and also like intrigued to just see how people grow with it. Cause like you get on Instagram and all the guys, all the strikers, they've been so fucking cool, man. Like with their time and breaking it down, rules and things like that. But to somebody who's not, chin deep in it like us, jaw deep in it like us, they just see these guys slapping a pad on like a telephone pole, and it's like, okay, but yeah, what are you gonna do? You can't do it the same way you do other sports, and all of that makes it so unique, man. I mean, the mental preparation for slap, in my opinion, it exceeds everything because you there's no surprises. You're either gonna get this shit right or you're not. And I don't know of any other sport that is so zero, what's the term? Like um
No, I get what, yeah.
zero give maybe. I don't know if I'm fucking
There's
up
no
that term, but like you know
leeway.
what I mean?
There's no
Like
leeway
if you
for
if you
what we're
miss a shot in
doing.
basketball or if you there's no leeway. 100%. So you can't practice that. You have to
Yeah.
practice just you. Coming up, dude. Coming up. Speaking of just you. You're the champ. You're the only guy. You may not, I heard you say this. You may not have been the guy they wanted, but bitch, I am here. I'm staying, right? So with Abu Dhabi coming up, first international fight, we actually tried to speak with
Of
Isaiah, but his
course.
phone overheated, so the interview got cut short. Of course, man. So, but I gotta know, I'm not asking you to call out shit or whatever, but like, how does it feel knowing this is your guy, he's standing in your way, and you've got, 5 minutes of war to just get this over fast? Because I've seen him online too, and he's got respect for you, but
Yeah,
in the back of
I
his head,
love it.
he's
I
like, I don't
love
think
every
this guy, I
second
don't
of it.
think
I
this
love
guy.
knowing when I have an opponent. I think one of my favorite times that I've got to train was from the house leading up to the first fight for the belt, because there was 3 months, 3 full months that I knew what I had to go do. When I have the objective there, when I know it's there, I'm fine. I have this year long, yes, I have this year long layoff like I've had. It sucks, dude. It sucks because I'm not going anywhere. And that is a problem for me, because then, power slap has taken over my world, unfortunately for my wife and kids, so they have to deal with that. Oh yeah, believe me, I'm sure
I
they're
can't
they're
imagine.
about done with it, but yes.
I love you,
Yeah, I
baby.
got to
I
do
love
this interview.
you,
I got to
but I
go
got to do
train. I
this
got to
interview.
work out. I got to hit the sauna. Why are you up at 4 o'clock in the morning? Well, because I was doing this before I went to work. It's one of those things where the obsession is not, even on my lowest days when I'm at my worst in my mind, because I know I'm crazy when it comes to all of this. I'm still doing more than the people who are like, yeah, that was a great workout today. Like, it's it's not, I don't know, just and especially right now, because I'm so especially focused in on this right now. You asking that question about seeing my opponent, I'll run 10 miles and that's all I can see. I'm staring off into space, but the whole time, and the only thing I can see is that fight that's coming up, the exact play-by-play of how it's going to go in my head. Whether it's good or bad, I don't care. I look at both options because I know that I'm not going to tell myself that there's no chance of me ever getting knocked out or me ever getting hurt or me losing, because that's ignorant. But I am staring at both options dead in the face, knowing that when I go up there, it's going one way or the other. And no matter what, at the end of the day, I have to come back here and still take care of fucking business afterwards.
Dude, I just got pumped up. That was like an adrenaline talk, man. Yeah, I think again, going back to what we were talking about before, people just don't get it. Like they just see you on a podium getting smacked, but they don't see the 4 a.m.s and they don't see the tension that it can create. You know, when you pursue a goal, you know, on a much smaller level. My wife and I have had a couple businesses, and I had my time, I sold it, and now she's on her time and she's rising. And dude, it's hard, man. You come home, you're still working, and you wake up before everybody else, and you go to bed after everybody else just to attain your dream. And I think I love that you went through that a little bit because it's important that people know that this just isn't some fucking hey, I got 2 shots of whiskey in me and I'm going to see, you know, if I'm bigger than you. No,
Yeah.
motherfucker, like this is a real way of life to provide for my family and this is how I get it done. I love that.
You know, and I'm not trying to discount a lot of people's work that they're doing on when they're at home by any means, but it's the people that literally are just like, yeah, how do you eat when because you see it in all the podcasts, and of course, you know, the real big ones where people are just flopping their opinion around because they don't know what they're talking about, and that's fine. But to all those people, I challenge to have one of us on your podcast to explain this shit to you because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And it's funny because you sound really dumb to us, and we're the ones getting slapped that you're calling dumb, and you sound you have no clue. So you know, it's funny to watch, especially when they're like, could you even train for that? How could you even do that? How do you figure this out? There's a way. If you'd take the time to ask one of us, you'd find the fuck out.
Yeah, dude, no, look. It's ironic because I'm a big comedy guy too. And all they're doing, all these people, they're just the stupid drunk heckler in the crowd. They don't give a shit. They don't know. They just want to feel validated in that, oh, you're dumb, blah, blah, blah. So they can sort of, I don't know, man. You know how it is. They just want to like say something to make them feel better. But in reality, they don't have the stones.
The person who says that is the same kind of person who's online posting comments on your favorite NBA player, your favorite NFL player, your favorite soccer player, your favorite rugby. I mean, any of that stuff is people there. Someone's always going to be like, oh, well, da 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 da. I have this to say because I'm at home hiding on my phone and now my mom's bringing me a hot pocket in the basement while I'm talking shit, you know? Like, no, dude, get out of here. Yeah. The meatloaf, ma. I never know what she's doing back there.
I never know what she's doing back there. Yeah, man, how are you? Yeah, those guys, bro,
yeah.
they can fuck all the girls at the funeral they want while we go get this cash. So you prefer that, like, when this match is over, no matter how it goes, right?
Yeah, that's super helpful for me. You know, even if, say, they go a month afterwards, because no matter what, I have to take off. You have to take off X amount of time, whether it's a week or you know whatever the doctor deems necessary after your fight. Because if it goes so many rounds, how many strikes did you take? They compile all of that into your suspension afterwards. So if you go up there, you know, I think even if you don't get hit, you still technically have to have a week suspension where you're not supposed to be, you know, being, you know, don't hold me to that one. But I know if you go up there and you take one, you still end up with like a week suspension because that's the minimal suspension that they can give in between fights. That's why we can do it in the house where you fight on Wednesday, you do your medical clear afterwards, you take your week, and then you compete on Wednesday again, you know?
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, that's another aspect. See, I love hearing all this stuff because, you know, we're pretty new in the sport as well. People just need to get to know these details of like, look, it's not a circus. Like people's health is being taken care of, and there's a process.
Yeah, you know,
here. So
I'm
like
lucky enough that they gave me
details.
stem cells when I hurt my shoulder. So, you know, that's one of the craziest things I would never thought would have been able to happen to me. There's been people that at the very beginning that we never even got to meet because they found that they had a tumor or something in their brain in one of the scans. There's been a few times where people have had a medical check done, and because of that medical check, they find out that they not only should they not be in power slap, they shouldn't be fighting in general, and they need to go to the hospital and get things, looked at as soon as possible to get it taken care of.
How long you want to keep that belt, man?
I'm not sure, but I don't plan on losing it.
Okay.
I didn't get here in the beginning, all of this, and start laying the foundation for my career and power slap at the same time. So as power slap's growing, it's steadily pulling me up higher and higher. So, the more wins that I can rack up before I retire and then be able to walk away as a champion and then go do whatever's next, because something's going to be next. I'm just not exactly sure what yet. That's my plans on it. I don't plan on losing it to anybody. I plan on giving it up if that's the scenario.
Do you want to walk away when the time does come on top?
I don't know.
In the future?
It just depends on, again, where this goes. I don't know what opportunities they would even give me. It's going to be a while before we've already had Wolverine go from the heavyweight champ, drop down and take over light heavyweight. So he's technically the first double weight or double champ. He's done that. If I was able to do anything, I think they would have to offer me a title fight, either 170 or 205, in the midst of me still being middleweight champion. I know that would hold up other two divisions, but I would be willing just to go up there, get the two belts, give up whichever other belt, fight for my 185 again. And, maybe that would be the way to retirement. Do a double champ, give it back at whatever weight class the other one is, defend 185 one more time, and then hopefully by then, I'm driving around in a Bugatti or something ridiculous that I don't need, and I'm living that Conor McGregor life.
Yeah, dude, that would be badass. So I like that scenario, dude. So you wouldn't, if they gave you the opportunity, you would want to be an
Yes.
existing champ.
Yes, and I feel like eventually they'll get to a point where they're like, okay, that could be an option, but if I'm still in the game by then, I just hope that I'm the one that gets the first opportunity to do that. They've got a handful of champs in the UFC, so they're eventually going to have to let it happen over here, I would say. So that's why if I continue my dominant run, get that opportunity, I would love nothing more than that, than to be legit double champ. And then obviously I'm not going to hold up two divisions. I would stick with middleweight because that's where I started, and then finish off.
Dude, I love that. And even now, it's been done a few times in the UFC, but it's still a rare feat. And if you could pull that off, see, where I'm going with it is with the matches we've seen, right? And we've watched the ones that we can. There's only a couple of guys that, on a personal level, I feel like could pull that off, and I really do think you're one of those guys. Because there's some guys, we won't name names, but they're gonna probably stay as super heavyweight, right? And then there's some guys that are just, and it's nothing against them at all. It's just that that's where they're gonna live and that's where they're gonna have success. But here and there, man, there's guys like you that you could.
Yeah,
you
I
could
would love to
possibly
compete.
break through that barrier.
I just surpassed 205. I went from heavyweight right past 205 down to middleweight. So, and another crazy thing I think would be to, get, as much as it would kill me and it would take some time, get that 170 fight. I've already got plenty of middleweight fights. Get a 205 fight. That's 4 out of 5 weight. I ain't going back up to super heavyweight. Last time I weighed 300 pounds, my knees swelled up and I almost died. So I'll pass on that. Yeah.
Yo, you used to weigh 300 pounds? No. So I just talked with Hunter, the walking Egyptian. I told him that should be his nickname, and he just laughed. But dude, I respect that. So I got into bodybuilding, and then I was into strongman. So I know what it's like to be in a sport that's like super niche that people think is ridiculous, right? But I ended up breaking my back, and when I got healed, I went right back to it. and I was in the gym, and I was doing this seated incline, like 300 something pounds, and I'm repping it. And I got off the seat, and I'm looking at the mirror, and dude, I'm 260 at the time, and my face is huge, and all that kind of stuff. And I looked in the mirror, man, and I was just like, I felt good. I got off the seat, like, because you feel like a man and everything. But dude, I looked in the mirror, and I was just like, I'm just fat. Like, I'm just chubby. And it is a commitment and a journey to drop from that type of 3 digit down to seeing a 1 on the
Yeah,
scale.
it took me quite some time, you know. It was like the last time I had weighed myself at that point, I was walking around at like 272 is what the scale said. And then I got even bigger and I didn't get on the scale because it was so depressing. And, you know, time went on. My walking around weight was back down between 250 and 270. And then finally one day I was like, I can't do this anymore. You know, like I can't keep up with my kids. I can't make it up the stairs. I'm falling asleep driving because I'm getting sleep apnea because my neck, I have a bigger neck anyhow. My neck was so big that, dude, it was terrible. But one step at a time on the treadmill back to where I'm at, able to run 10 miles now.
I love that so much, man. That's fantastic. Like I laughed when you said the driving thing because I did that a few times. And it's those wake up calls. Yeah, I respect that so much, dude. Well, I love that you came on, man. I love that you're here. I love that you're the man in your weight class. I love that you got these goals. I love that you're a family guy working his ass off, trying to, bleed through all the noise and really have.
No, I really appreciate it, man. You know, I definitely finally starting to get some interviews set up before this fight. So getting all this juices flowing now helps me get ready, and it's great to connect with people who genuinely give a shit about what we all have going on.
No, and we will do our best to pump this up. We're gonna announce it tomorrow, but we just landed a sponsorship deal with Old School Energy Drink, and they're gonna, the idea is they'll help us for the local events, just kind of help us get a bigger presence. So when the fighters come through, they'll feel at home. They can crack open a can and just feel like you're coming through media day, but not coming through media day where it's exhausting. We still want to have some fun with it. So that's kind of what we're trying to do.
Perfect. That's exactly what people need to be able to come into that kind of environment compared to a stuffy nose teleprompter reading. Might as well be a politician at that point.
Yeah, dude, for sure. All right, man. Well, let's log off. And everybody, the champ is here. The champ is here. Give it up. Abu Dhabi, you're not ready. The fire's coming. He's bringing the heat. 5 rounds won't be needed. It's going to be one and done. All right, everybody. Thank you. And tune in next time for SlapSon. And
appreciate you very much for having me on.
We love you.